Going to show the use of the Signalrouter and extension lead set to diagnose a cranking problem on a 96 GMC Suburban. Now you're going to make your connections to the battery and then to the starter, one on the power side and one on the ground side. Once the leads are connected on the battery, simply route your leads, and on the starter, route your leads to the interior of the vehicle, one coming from the starter underneath and one coming from the battery, goes into the cab. Once inside the cab, then just go ahead and take your two leads and hook them into the Signalrouter. I will generally use the lead number 1 for the battery. I try and always do it the same way, so I know where my leads are coming from. Makes it very easy, very consistent. I take my second lead from the starter. This one is going to get hooked in, and I'm going to reverse the lugs, so you'll see that the black lead is now going to get plugged into the red socket, and the blue lead is going to get plugged into the green socket. And so with that configuration, I now have direct reading voltage drop that you will see as we go into our test. So now we turn the voltmeter up to voltage, select high resolution. Let's see what we've got for standing battery voltage. Standing battery voltage, I'm sitting at right now about 12.6, so I'm fine to be able to go ahead and do our cranking tests. This is a test for a vehicle that's having a hard start problem. I do have the ignition disabled, so it should not fire. You can hear it's a very slow crank, about 10.6 volt drop. Not bad on the battery. The battery seems to be holding up okay. Let's see what we're doing at the starter now. Let's see the voltage at the starter. Notice it's in reverse polarity. We can change that by simply doing nothing more than changing that switch. And for the test that we're doing, it makes no difference what the polarity is in. It reads the same whether it's in reverse polarity or standard polarity. Min-max is the only reason for the polarity change. Next thing we're going to do is I'll crank it again and we'll see what the voltage is at the starter. Oh, my starter voltage is down at 8 volts. So that's telling me I've got a very large voltage drop between the starter and the battery. Or I've got a starter that's drawn way too much amperage. Now the easiest thing to do right here with the same hookup that you have is to simply go ahead and let's go ahead and look at the power side first. So the power side is going to be a green switch on 2. That will give it to this back lug here. That's coming from the power of the starter. Over here to the red switch on number 1. So we'll change this to red. Let's see what the voltage drop is now on the power side of this circuit. About 160 millivolts. Not bad for starter amperage. Okay, you can tell the battery, everything's getting tired here. Okay, so now we're going to see what kind of a voltage drop we have on the ground side of this circuit. There's our voltage drop, 2.6 volts drop there. So we have some kind of a problem. That's an all-inclusive test. We have some type of a problem on the battery ground. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and clean up those grounds and find out where we're at as far as that goes. I've now repaired the cable. Everything is reconnected, and what we're going to do now is let's see if we did fix the problem. So to start with, again, I'm looking at about 12.56 on standing battery voltage. We'll go ahead and crank now and see what the battery supports. You can hear the cranking, about 10.6 on the battery, which was about the same as it was before. Now let's see what the voltage drop is going to the starter. And we'll go ahead and set it back over to take it off of reverse polarity. Now we're up at a 10.1 on that. So total voltage drop. So obviously we significantly improved our voltage drop situation. So let's go ahead and make sure. Let's look again now at the hot side of this. So we'll go ahead and click this over and we'll look at voltage drop specifically from the hot battery lead to the hot starter lead. Looking at about 160 to 170 millivolts. Now let's look at the ground side. Much better, about 240, 50, 60 millivolts on the ground side. But you can tell by the speed and the crank. So we're still knocking on the door of a half a volt total voltage drop. However, that is definitely within specifications for the starter.